So my name is Michelle. I'm a mindset coach. And before my session with Janessa, I was kind of experiencing like lack of clarity and not knowing how to like navigate through challenges in my relationship and like harnessing my like divine feminine. I was feeling honestly like I was showing a lot of the wounded feminine traits, like being needy, not being in my own energy and feeling good and feeling like not confident. And I was just, I wasn't feeling the best in my body, in my relationship. Like my state of being was like bleeding into all these areas of my life as well. It wasn't good. So I just like, I did not feel good. So after our session, I felt so clear and I felt like I had the actual tools to bring into my relationship and bring into my own self-love practices and bring into my own life to like help me take my power back, my divine, sacred, like feminine power, like feeling good and being like a magnet versus I need, take, victim kind of mode. And I didn't mean to be like that, but it was just happening. So super grateful that we worked together. And I'm still implementing a lot of what she taught me. And I feel really clear. I feel really magnetic. That's such a like cliche word, but I do. And it just is like, it's like a priceless feeling knowing how to harness your life force energy and not just like give it away to everybody and have boundaries and know who you are at your core because you are super powerful. And Janessa helps you understand that you are extremely powerful. So what would I tell somebody who is considering working with Janessa or signing up to be in her mentorship program? I would say do it. You really don't know what you don't know. And if you're the type of person who's constantly like wanting a quick fix, you're never going to fix anything. Like I've been that person that's like watching YouTube videos and like reading all the books and texting all my friends and calling my girlfriends being like, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel so stuck? Why do I hate my body? Why do I not feel good in my relationship? Why are these men treating me like this? Like the list goes on and on and on and on. And working with Janessa, you will reveal yourself to you and understand it starts with you. And she really helps you get your power back and know that it starts with you. And you can have amazing relationship. You can have an amazing relationship with yourself because intimacy and feeling good, it really does start with you. And there's no quick fix to that. It's a journey where you have to like surrender to the process of working with somebody and not knowing like where it will lead to.
Perfect. That's amazing.
That's all I would say though. I don't have anything else to add.
No, that's so good.
I have a specific question.
No, that was great. So I will take bits and pieces and like put it together. I'm not going to put the whole thing, but just like a little something.
I hope I didn't use too much like jargon, spiritual jargon.
No, I felt like towards the end you were more speaking like from your heart and truth. Yeah, so it's perfect.
Yay. Happy to help. Happy to be of service.
Yay. Thank you so much. And so for today's podcast, I wanted to let you know it's just going to be me and you on the podcast because Samantha has some things going on and she's not able to make it. but
okay, yeah.
we've done this before in the past. Like one time I couldn't make it, and so she did a solo. So we kind of do that sometimes. And yeah, what we do before we hit record is just to check in with our guests and see if there's anything like present and alive for you that's going on in your life right now that you would like to share about, or something that you're passionate about. I mean, I kind of know already what you're passionate about, but subjects that relate to embodiment, pleasure, sexuality, sensuality,
yes,
relationships, all the things.
I'm trying to think.
And also too, weaving in like in the beginning, I will read your bio, not on this call. So when we're done, you can, I don't know if you have a bio written out, but you'll send that to me and I will record that on my own. So that way our audience already knows who's coming on. And then we love to ask our guests, like, what has been your journey coming to where you're at now, or where you were and where you're at now, like what it is that you do, your work. And then based off of this conversation, we'll kind of feel into what we want to talk about. But it's interesting because once we start going and talking, and I feel like the conversation just leads into a subject. But
yes,
yeah, I kind of like it to make it free flowing form and to really feel into the energy of what wants to come through. But yeah, if you have anything that's coming to your mind that you want to talk about, you can do that.
That is like how the juiciest podcasts happen. I feel like,
yeah,
like we pick a general direction.
Yes.
But then, so by the way, I will write a bio that's like super clear and then text it to you. Does that sound okay?
Can you text it to me on Instagram?
Yes.
Perfect.
On IG.
Because then I can just copy paste it to the podcast.
Perfect. Okay. But I can write it in a text. Yeah.
Yes.
Like Michelle is a mindset coach. She works for, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if we're being like completely real and authentic here, I am still running into challenges in my relationship. And I don't want to like spill all my guts for this like other person. We live like a life of like, I don't know, like I'm authentic with him, but like we keep our problems. Like I got so upset that he was asking his best friend, AnnMarie, who I work for, about how we can have a better relationship and how I've had problems of not getting my relational needs met. And I was like, how could you talk to her about something so personal? So I want to be extremely authentic, but I don't want to like spill all of my problems almost, but I want to talk about it because I've been learning about something that's so like I could go on and on and on about right now that's so relevant in my life is like attachment styles and learning that you are like a secure person, but like you can get triggered into your shadow.
Yes.
Triggered into your, but basically ever since I moved out of my boyfriend's place, because I moved down to Texas, when I don't get that like full like presence from him, like he'll come visit me quick. It's like I don't even want him to visit in the first place unless I'm going to get like you so fully. Yeah. So if you're tired, if you have stuff to do on your phone, if you're sick, if I'm just like, my heart feels crushed. My spirit feels crushed. So last night I self-soothed myself, but I was like, all these fears were coming up. Like, why does this person like me? Why is this person with me? Why does he? So I'm learning to hear these things come up because I understand my attachment style. That's what I'm feeling. What are you feeling?
I could talk about that all day long.
But I do want you to lead the podcast and then I can.
No. Yeah, I will. I'll be leading and asking you the questions, and yeah, usually that flow works well, so we don't like interrupt each other.
And my audio's sounding good.
Yeah, as long as you don't. Sometimes Samantha does this thing. Well, she like, I don't know what she's doing. She hits the microphone and like does all these things, but like I don't think you're gonna.
I'm gonna make sure it's like right in front of me.
But it's your audio sounds great.
Good.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't think. Oh yeah, that's one thing I wanted to mention. At the end of the podcast, we always ask our guests, "What is bringing you the most pleasure in your life right now?" You can kind of ponder that. It could be like anything. It doesn't have to be sexual, obviously.
I already know the answer.
I know too. I know. Shuffle.
Well, like other things too.
Oh, okay.
Similar.
We can save it.
Well,
we can
I'll
save
probably
it.
say that, but then say the other thing that just came to my mind too.
Okay. Perfect. So I've been so used to Samantha's been having guests on, so I'm used to her like starting it. So
oh, you're totally good.
I feel into a moment like how she does it.
I can pull up a podcast right now.
No. I have an idea. I'm
like, just like, you got this, girl.
I'm thinking about it too much. Okay.
I loved listening to your most recent episode, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I felt
never stop
self-conscious about that episode for some reason, just because I felt there was so much that I wanted to share, and it was just as difficult to really. Yeah.
Don't hold back.
Yeah.
You can't hold back. People need to hear the real juice.
And then I have this thought in my mind too of like labeling myself open or polyamorous, just because I know that I'm a fluid person and I could be monogamous. And so I don't, maybe I'm just like afraid of being put in this like label in this box. And I don't think that people do that, but it's all stories. Yeah.
Don't put me in a box, bitch.
Yeah. That should be like my tagline. Oh, okay. So on the count. Oh, wait. Also, too, me and Samantha like to do a little embodiment energy release exercise to really just let go of any nervousness or chatter, anything like that. And so we do a little shaking and gibberish, which I can show you what it looks like. And so we start shaking our body and our hands and making whatever sound. Oh, you're so good at it. And then also something that we've been loving to do is to place your hand like this, just to lower your power center, which is like right below the solar plexus, right on the belly button. And then we take a deep inhale. And we bring the other opposite hand down the center of our body. And then I'll go first. You can follow my lead. And I say, I am Janessa and I am here. And then you can do that.
I am Michelle and I am here.
Woo! Perfect. All right, welcome everyone to today's episode. I have another very special guest, my dear friend, Michelle. And oh wait, can we start that over? I wanted to say your full name, but I forgot. Your last name is Lenz?
Yes, Lenz.
Lenz. Okay, start that over.
You got it, girl.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Pleasure Alchemy podcast. I have a beautiful, dear friend, Michelle Lenz, who's on today. Please introduce yourself for a moment, Michelle. And yeah, I'm so excited to chat with you today. It's been a long time coming.
Thank you for having me today. I'm super stoked. I know I have listened to this podcast and I'm like,
Yeah.
can't wait for this information to impact the people
Mm,
and to bring value to the people.
yes. And
So
shed
thanks for
light.
having me.
Yeah, of course. And to maybe shed light on certain subjects that may be taboo, or maybe to ask the more difficult questions that we all have in terms of our pleasure, intimacy, and relationships. And me and Michelle were just talking about earlier some ideas that we could chat about. And what came to mind was speaking to attachment style, which is something I am really passionate about. And yeah, Michelle, please tell our audience your thoughts, your experience learning about attachment style.
Yeah. So I remember way back in high school, I took psychology. And that's when I first learned about human attachment. And I was like, oh, this is so easy. Like, oh, there's babies who have like secure attachment. They're okay when their caregiver leaves. And there's anxious, and there's like, what are the other ones? Dismissive, avoidant, fearful, avoidant. They're all like, people change the names around, but there's a handful. And it seemed so easy back then. Like I was taking these tests and I was like, yeah, it's just like humans. But then guess what? You grow up, you start relating and dating people. And I honestly did not become aware of my attachment style. I would say right at this moment in time, I am a securely attached person. But if I'm triggered, I go into my anxious, preoccupied type of attachment. And it's kind of interesting because it doesn't matter how or why you're like that. It more so matters, does this, like you ask yourself, does this align with me? Does this way of being or this pattern or this attachment style resonate for me? And usually it's, okay, I'm doing it, but like, it's fine for the moment. Or it's like a, heck no, this sucks. I don't want to be like this. And I started experiencing that. I was experiencing pain when I had breakups with people, or I would have issues with relationships. And I'm like, what is the deal here? But it's really attachment. I'm curious if you have any like attachment knowledge, or what's the biggest takeaway that you know about yours, or like within relationships.
Yeah, for sure. So for those of you and the people listening that don't know what attachment style is, essentially attachment style is the way in which you relate that replicates the way you learned how to attach to your caregiver, primary caregiver. So that be your parent or a grandparent or a teacher, whoever it was, that dictates how you relate later on in life. And those same patterns can show up in future relationships. So it can give you a really eye-opening perspective to what your patterns and habits are in relationships. And some can be really painful to, the attachment could come up to be extremely painful later on in life. But at the same time, it feels familiar, and this feeling of love, because that's what you're used to, because that's how you grew up relating. So that's just a little backstory on that.
Very well said.
Yes. And my tendencies are to be the anxious one in relationship. And so that looks like, what does that look like? Looks like essentially feeling anxious with my partner, thinking that they're going to leave me, that they're going to abandon me, that I can't trust them, that I don't believe what they tell me when they're sharing certain things. And also, depending on the partner, I also too could be avoidant as well. So depending on the person and how they relate and how they interact with you, it could bring up different attachment styles. But majority of the time I have been the anxious one in relationship. And I would say now I'm very much so securely attached. But like Michelle was saying, when triggers come up, that anxious side comes in. And the more that I have that awareness that those tendencies are coming up, I can tune into myself, ask myself, what do I need in this moment? What's like I say this to my clients, what is the core desire of what it is that you're needing in that moment? And from there, you can, by asking those questions, you can really create that secure attachment with yourself and then with the partner as well.
Absolutely. So well said. And it's really interesting how you can be so evolved and have done all the work, and you will enter a new relationship, or you will be dating somebody or relating with somebody, and something will pop out. You can't expect these things, or you can't like calculate it out, or like, oh, I'm perfectly perfect. Like, it's always going to be there. It's just, how are you going to respond? How are you going to respond to when your partner is mostly friends with girls and coaches women and is always hanging around with women? How does that make you really feel? Does it trigger you? It could be anything, honestly. And you won't know until you're in it.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful journey. It's not easy, but knowing and having, I feel like when it comes to seeing your triggers come out, a great way to, because a lot of the time people want to run away. They're like, I can't deal with this. And I used to be that person. I used to be like, this is so hard. I just want to like leave it. I want to break up with this person. I don't want to deal with this. Or there's just like constant tension. There's constant issues, if you will, and conflict. But a great way, as I've like evolved, a great way to kind of like not let these things crush you and crush your relationships is to kind of communicate and be unapologetically open with your person. And this takes both people, or if there's multiple people, it just takes being able to see each other clearly with none of the defensiveness, none of the, like getting triggered because somebody's bringing something up that's vulnerable. I call it being unapologetically open, because it takes a lot of courage. And I kind of want to share an example. And this is me being unapologetically open.
Yes.
So I would say I'm a really open person. So I can talk about anything with my people, my partner, my friends. And my boyfriend was telling me a story about how he was kind of dating or relating with a person before he met me and started dating me and seeing me. And I was like, oh yeah, like duh, I was dating other people before him too. And he told me some details about like this girl and how she visited him long term, and like I didn't feel like affected by it in the moment when he was telling me this story. We were having like a full-on like great conversation about our past. And the next day after this happened, I was just like, I could not stop thinking about how he had somebody come and visit him and stay with him. And I was like, what was it? Why did it end? And like asking myself all these questions that almost like made me get into this insecure, like just interesting feelings, right? So I'm really like feeling all the feels. And I was like, okay, I came to my partner. I was like, there's something that's just been bothering me, and I just like want to talk about it. And you don't really need closure. You don't really need like closure, I feel like is an illusion. The past Michelle would have been like doing anything to get the answers she needed to feel secure and get the closure she needed to move on. And I felt like I could have an open conversation with my partner about this previous person he dated and come back to this present moment of things are great. We are working towards becoming closer. We're working towards seeing each other clearly. But that's an example. I feel like a lot of people will kind of not come to their partner, or they'll come to their partner from a really like, why'd you do this? Why do you like that? And why did you do that? Or judging their partner for something they did. And I was catching myself judging hardcore.
Yes.
Like, whoa, what did this person, I asked myself, what did this girl have that like I have or don't have, or what am I judging? Very interesting stuff. But coming together and seeing each other clearly, seeing each other's attachment style clearly, can alleviate a lot of suffering.
Yeah, completely agree. I resonate with so much of what you're saying. I often find it's like the things that trigger us and that we judge in other people are the same exact things that we judge and criticize about ourselves. And so I notice when I do that, or I'm like criticizing my partner, I'm like, oh my God, it's because I don't want to be like that. And I have that judgment and that story. And yeah, it's just so interesting how all of these things can come up and they can be painful, but also it can be an incredible opportunity to really understand ourselves more and to create a deeper connection with our partner. And I think as every trigger as like an opportunity to grow and evolve together. That's why I personally feel that relationships and intimacy is like the deepest possible work that you can do, because it is the most painful.
Amen.
It's bringing up those childhood wounds or something that happened when we were in grade school. Like someone said we looked weird or funny, or when our parents like never made eye contact with us. Like that's a big trigger for me, is when my partner, like I enter the room and my partner's just like this. I know some of you can't see, but
yes.
And then I have my partner look straight down at his phone. I'm walking into the room and I'm expecting this like, oh my God, hello, how are you?
I expect the same thing. Did your parents teach you to have eye contact and be really polite with people?
No.
Oh, so you just like, I'm curious who taught you that, or why do you like that so much in other people, or from your partner?
I think later on in my journey, I really have developed this deep love for having presence, especially with the masculine in a man, because that feels super safe and loving to me. And so when I have that, because I didn't have it, I'm like, oh yeah, I feel so relaxed to my feminine being, you know?
Yeah.
And so when I don't get that, I automatically think, oh, something's wrong, or he doesn't care about me, or he'd rather be looking on his phone than engaging with me, which is not the full story. And so in those moments, my automatic response is to close, to run away, to give him the silent treatment. But I'm very expressive these days. And so my partner can tell when I'm closing off, and instead of, when those moments happen, it's almost like we both are in this place of like, how can we come back to connection? And so he'll ask me like, how are you feeling? What's up? I can feel something's off. And instead of me getting defensive and triggered or pretending that everything's okay, I will do the more vulnerable thing and share exactly what's happening in my physical body, and sharing him what was going on for me when I came in the door, and just all the details that can easily not be expressed.
Yes. Isn't it the best feeling too, when you've been doing the work on yourself and you can be open and real, but also your partner can just receive you with all your whatever feedback or how you're really feeling. Like, oh yeah, that hurt my feelings when you didn't tell me what time you were gonna come down and visit me. I take that as like a disrespectful thing, whatever it is. Or he was on his phone. When they can just receive and not get defensive. I see that so much between partners, where it's really like people are taking it personal instead of taking it as energy and information. And if you're a woman listening to this podcast, it is in your nature to be so in tune with your heart and be in tune with your feeling and your feeling of what's like a hell yes and what's a fuck no. That's what I always teach my clients.
Yeah, tell me more about that. Like, how do you guide women to become attuned to feeling what is a yes or a no? Because if you are so used to shutting off your emotions, and especially your pleasure, it can be hard to distinguish what's a full yes, what's a full no.
Yes. I feel like I have learned so many different ways to get to know the real me over the years. And now I teach a lot of those ways to my clients. But I ask them, like, what really brings you so much joy? I invite them to do a thing called joy journaling, or just like not kind of practicing not holding back anymore. Because if you constantly have a filter on how I'm going to express myself, or how I'm going to move my body, or how I'm going to act, or what I'm going to say, or what I'm going to do, then that's not you. You're like molding yourself to the world instead of you allowing the world to mold to like you and your authentic self. But yeah, I love to invite my clients to joy journal. I have this thing, I actually have it like nearby me. I made a fulfillment list a couple years ago. And it's like a 5-page thing where I took out my cute pens and I wrote all these things that like make me feel so alive and happy. And they're not quick hit things. Like, we all know what quick like things that come from our desire. Like, a lot of people like to drink and do drugs and those types of things, or just hook up with people, or spend money, gamble. But these are things that like bring you fulfillment. And when you know them and they're on paper, when I'm feeling out of alignment, when I'm not feeling in tune with my feeling, if I'm not feeling good is the secret, you guys. I swear, like, everything's working out best case scenario when I prioritize my feeling good. But I look back at my fulfillment list and I keep it out, and then I'm like, oh yeah, going on walks and saying hi to the turtles down by the water by where I live, like, that brings me joy. It sounds so dumb, but it's so true.
It doesn't.
And a bunch of other things like dancing and spending time with my friends, and like, don't hold back. Like, I would invite anybody that's listening to this too, make a fulfillment list, get out your cute pens, make it fun first, put on some tunes, and write, and don't hold back. Maybe you love to go to concerts all the time with your friends and mess around, or maybe you like to do things that you feel like people judge you for. Write it down. Anything that brings you like real joy. Maybe you like to smoke weed, but like your whole family is like, can't do that, that's against our religion. Like, write it down. Write down everything that brings you that like deep soul fulfillment. And keep your list handy for when you're having a moment. And I guarantee you will feel better.
Yes. Oh, yeah. How do you feel that having this list would affect your ability to show up in a relationship when there's conflict present?
Ooh, this is a good one. Honestly, I think when it comes to, I call it dating and relating. That's what Mark Groves calls it. He's a relationship and connection expert. I have learned a lot from Mark Groves. So has Janessa. But I think
I'm
a
a fan.
lot of people don't understand that we are not meant to be attached to people. We can enjoy our present moment. Like I'm enjoying this present moment with Janessa, and I can be here now. But like as soon as this podcast is over, or as soon as the relationship is over, or it's going south, or it's not working out, but you're like you're giving it so much, then it is what it is. All you have is right here, right now. So are you going to choose your alignment? Are you going to choose yourself? Are you going to choose your boundaries? Because that's what I'll get into. I just wanted to mention that though, because a lot of people are like, oh no, my partner doesn't like the same things as me. And he's not like, there's so many things I do like about him, but then I just feel like we're never going to get married, and we're not going to be together forever. Or I don't know. I think that's settling. And it's like, you have this one life. So be aware of your programs, be aware of your attachments. Like, would you be okay if you and your boyfriend broke up tomorrow? I would say, hell yes, I'm going to be okay. Would you be okay if your husband left you tomorrow or like died? Honestly, I talk about death a lot, you guys, because death is like, everything dies, everything changes, everything dies. So you can really see, you can reveal your own self to you, your programs, your attachments, by asking yourself, okay, what would I do today? What would I do today if I knew I was going to die tomorrow, or I knew my dog was going to die tomorrow? Oh, I'm going to be with her right now and appreciate her and love her. And I'm not going to be so attached to like, it has to be perfect. And then, or get so sad. But yeah, I feel all the emotions. So when it comes to being in relationship and your fulfillment list, you have to be so radically honest. And some people, you have everything in common with your person that you're dating or you're with. And then some people, you really have to be like, okay, I'm putting my foot down. I'm not going to eat the same foods as you. I'm not going to do the same things as you. I'm not going to sacrifice my values or my standards, which you need to know your boundaries and standards. A lot of people don't. And okay, Mark Grove said this to me and it really stuck once. Declare and claim what you want, like your standards, your boundaries, your values. Declare and claim it, like write that shit down, because when you claim it and are true to yourself with your actions and embodying it, you stop wasting time. You stop suffering. It's like way harder to peel off an old Band-Aid than it is to peel off like a new one. I don't know if that makes sense.
No.
One that's been there for years and years and years. Like, do you know what I'm saying though? A lot of people are like attached and they're just like, okay, yeah, I can kind of see myself dating this guy for the rest of my life or being with this guy. But is it like a full body fuck yes? If it's not, leave.
Yeah.
I like you pretty good. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah. And I can speak to my own personal experience around being attached to the idea of somebody versus fully loving them unconditional, despite our differences, despite maybe some of the little incompatibilities. Like I have shapeshifted myself to be like my partners, just because I was so desperate to be with anyone, to be in partnership, that I disregarded my boundaries, my values. And I know some of you listening might have experienced this as well. And it can be a super dark place to be in, because you start losing your identity. You start losing this sense of relationship with yourself. That's why it's so important to have things like your fulfillment list, to know what makes you happy, what gives you joy and pleasure outside of relationship, because your whole life is not your relationship. It is something that adds beauty and spice and all the yumminess, but it's not everything. And that to me is like really that to me is really like secure attachment. Yeah.
Could not have said it better. It's so amazing to feel free. And it's definitely a journey when, like, let's say that you are feeling that sort of anxious, preoccupied, or you're noticing maybe you're the avoidant type, like fearful avoidant people or dismissive avoidant people who are kind of shut off from feeling emotion or don't want to commit because they've been hurt before. And that's like real stuff. That's real trauma, and it's not your fault, but leaning in and leaning into either self-soothing and really taking care of yourself when your triggers come up, and leaning into maybe closeness if you're afraid of that, is the only way. I mean, there's like probably more ways, but that's like the only way. Like, lean into your edges and in becoming aware of your patterns, because going throughout your life, if you're going to be like, oh, I keep attracting the same guy over and over, I keep attracting the same sort of relationship dynamics, okay, it's all happening for you. So like, you're the common denominator here. So what's going on with you, girl? Girls and guys?
Yeah.
What's going on between your ears? What are you believing?
Yep. So resonate with that statement. And I think for me, it felt much easier to blame the outside world, blame my partner, and almost become jaded, because there's this lack of almost like empowerment within myself. And so it felt, just so much easier to blame my partner instead of take radical responsibility for my well-being.
Yes.
Which is the more scarier thing to do, but I think it's the most transformative and healing way to live if you want to be fully in your power.
You're so spot on. I actually was going to say that just like got me to think about, I commit to not gossiping about my partner as well, or not. I want to say gossip, but you know, when you talk to your girlfriends and you're just like spilling all the stuff that's going on in your relationship, and it's like, okay, are you talking to your friends from a place of like, yeah, we're working through this, or are you like spilling so much that you're like, yeah, he's so like this and it's horrible and he just doesn't get me? Like, where are you vibrating, like in your thoughts? Like, does it feel really good when you talk about your partner with people, or does it feel like he just doesn't get it? I'm always trying to communicate, I'm always trying to be the best, but
yeah, I actually have this agreement with one of my current partners, is that and I've carried this to other relationships as well, but to not talk down on our partners and to speak from an I experience. So like, I feel this way, blah, 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 instead of, oh my God, how could he be this way? He's making me feel this way. Because that's like, you're taking responsibility for what's happening, and you are in some way still allowing love to be present in the way that you express.
I love that so much.
Yeah, it's good.
It's so true. You are the creator. And sometimes it's hard to realize that and remember it when you're really going through it, that you attracted this. You are here and you're playing in this game. You're playing in this game where you attracted this level of whatever the relationship is. Maybe it's super surface level. Maybe it's not. It's a reflection of you. So that can be a really tough pill to swallow. That was for me, for sure, until I really dived into learning from, I don't know, a couple of my favorite people that have helped me learn to expand as a human, so I can expand in my relationships and experience love and intimacy, would be Thich Nhat Hanh. And his book called How to Love really opened my eyes. And then I actually just picked up this book again, but it's called The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. He wrote he's the same guy that wrote the 4 Agreements, if you're familiar.
What are the 4 agreements?
The 4 Agreements, I believe
I think they're important to share just because I feel like they relate to creating secure attachment. Absolutely. I remember them, but I want to ask if you remember them.
I remember most of them, I believe. So one of them is be true to your word. Impeccable. One of them is to not take things personally. Another one is, dang it.
No, I
want to know the next 2. I give 2 and then you give 2.
So don't take anything personal. Be impeccable with your word. Oh my God, I'm blanking. I know these. I'm Googling it right now. Okay. Don't make any assumptions and always do your best.
Ah, yes. Assuming is such a
poison.
Such a funny thing. Such a funny thing how our brains love to make up all these stories and just, it's like your own consciousness and your own brain is making these assumptions. So it's the most like selfish thing for you to do. And it creates so much unnecessary suffering, but we all do it. So the more you can be aware of like what you're thinking and what you're what you're assuming. Never assume. Always ask.
Yes. Something that I love to do now when I start a new relationship with somebody is to let them know initially like what my triggers are, which most people would wait to share that information until later. But honestly, I feel like it's so much more better to share that stuff from the very beginning. So that way your partner knows how to respond to you when those things come up, instead of you assuming that they know how to soothe you or respond in that situation. Because our partners won't know unless we communicate to them.
Amen. I love that so much. And it sounds like, I don't know, some people might think that that's like too much, or it's oversharing, or it's like, oh, you're like letting people. No, it's very conscious and it's very like respectful. And that's how you can start off on the right foot and have an amazing relationship.
Yep.
I love to talk about my love language with my partner, but this is something that has helped me a lot, is being specific, because sometimes our partners like don't know. So I could say to Janessa, oh, my love language is words of affirmation, but like, okay, that's leaving so much to her to maybe assume or to like guess with her own like beliefs and thoughts, that maybe I won't even get my relational needs met. But if I'm specific and I'm like, oh, I love when you call me on the phone. I love when you leave me notes or text me. That just makes me feel so valued and so appreciated and makes me just like feel so safe and whatever it makes you feel, then you get more of that, hopefully.
Yes. Asking for what you want is the key. In and out of the bedroom. So our partners are not mind readers.
It's all in the way that you say it. You know this.
Yeah, I've been getting really good at, when I have a concern or if I want to share something, really tuning in to my body and where my body's at physically. Because if I'm in such a triggered place, the way that I speak can be super, I don't know what the word is, like condescending, or I'm talking down to them, or yeah, I just got this full on attitude. And when we are expressing from that place, our partners cannot receive us. They will contract, they will shut down, they will turn our backs towards us. But the more that we can check in with ourselves before we share, to really see, how can I be more in my heart in this moment? Like, do I need to take a few deep breaths? Do I need to like take a pause from the scenario and like leave the room, go on a walk? And really having the ability to do that is so fucking powerful.
I completely agree. I've even asked before, like, I've asked my partner, like, hey, I just need to like be alone to like sob for a minute.
Yeah.
It's nothing about you. And I'll be right back, like maybe in 20 minutes. And then I come back and I'm clear and I'm just like, okay, where were we? Because everything, all of our triggers, like it's all me. It has nothing to do with him. I'm like, bless you for triggering me so I can awaken. Thank you.
Love that.
I was gonna say too, like based on what you just shared too, it's kind of like it's positive reinforcement. It's all in the way that you say it. I think of like when I was training my dog, when I just got my dog, I trained her with positive reinforcement for the most part. Because if you're gonna yell at your puppy and you're gonna scold your puppy instead of rewarding them for all the good things that they do, or communicating with them in a very like clear, powerful way, it's going to make a huge difference in whether or not they change.
Yes.
If you're communicating with your person and you're like, you never do this right, I hate it when you do this,
shaming,
or even just like, it's all in the way, it's all in the energy behind it, for sure.
Yeah, I would love for my audience to know a little bit more about the work that you're doing with your clients, because you are a coach as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I work for my friend's company called Inner Alpha Fitness. And we call in women from all walks of life, all ages, all different backgrounds to a lifestyle transformation. And it usually starts with weight loss or gaining muscle, body recomposition. And we have a challenge. We also have a 4-month program, but I work exclusively in the year-long program. So you must actually be in Inner Alpha Fitness's 4-month program called the Breakthrough Program to be considered in Inner Alpha Evolution. So as a mindset coach, I really help my clients. First, we set intentions of like, what's no longer resonating in my reality? Am I really reactive? Am I always on high alert? Am I a perfectionist? Am I struggling in my relationships? Am I struggling in my relationship with money? But we go into mindset And it's in the 4 quadrants of health, wealth, relationships, and passion and purpose. So we dive into all those areas, but it's all inner work and mindset related. So I walk my clients through so many different tools, so many different sessions. We have calls, we have one-on-one calls, and help them remember who they really are and what lights their soul on fire, and help them also reprogram and like let go, like I said, what no longer resonates for you, because it starts with a belief you have. And it's a lot of unconscious, subconscious beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like my work in a nutshell. And I seriously love the girls that I work with, the women that I work with. They're
Yes.
all different ages. They have all different things going on in their life. And they're like so grateful that I help them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just the guide. I'm here to guide you back to your soulful self. So yeah, we do a lot of ego work. We do a lot of shadow work. We do a lot of inner child healing. We do a lot of just like simple things too. Like, what's your mindset routine? What is your self-care routine looking like? How do you approach conflict? Are you a people pleaser? Like, I help my clients get past the things that they've been just like running on autopilot doing that are hurting them.
Beautiful.
That's what I do though.
Thank you for sharing that. I'll be sure to leave all of Michelle's information to get in touch with her. And I believe you're primarily on Instagram, right?
Yes, Instagram and then Facebook, but like mostly Instagram.
Yeah. Is there any last words you want to share with our audience before we end this call?
Just thank you so much for listening, and thank you for doing the work. Because if you're on the journey of personal transformation and evolving, you are really like, you're doing the work of for your ancestors and your whole line, your whole family. So be so loving towards yourself, and thank you.
Oh, I love that. And we always ask our guest one final question at the end of the podcast. What is bringing you the most pleasure in your life right now?
The thing that's bringing me the most pleasure is definitely house music and dancing and like saying hi to the birds and all these. Okay, so I just moved to a new place, and there's so many like birds and dogs and everything around me, animals in nature. Yes. But I would say honestly, the house music, I've just been like vibing on my high flying disc. It will instantly shift my mood.
I feel you. I'm so with you on that. I recently, just for those of you that are watching the video of this episode, I just got these new headphones and I am in deep love with them. It's transformed my dancing and embodiment practices. All right, Michelle, it's been so good to chat with you. And yeah, thank you so much for being on here.
Of course.
All right. See you guys next time. Bye.